Hello! I've always wanted to have high visibility because I'm such a quiet and retiring person. And Patty Hampton thinks I look good in orange. All right, so there you go. I'm gonna take that off. I don't think we need that. I've quoted this before, but you know, one of my all-time favorite lines from the movies comes from Jaws. Remember, we're going to need a bigger boat. And of course, that's why we're here today. We're doing that because we're trying to provide for and prepare for a bigger boat that can nurture faith and love and offer Christ-like service and compassion in our community and on into the future. Now, here's a question. Can anyone remember the sort of focus of my sermon on Sunday, April the 15th, 2018? No one? No, I'm not surprised. That's okay. That was the day, if you were there, you might remember, when I made the case that there are 17 miles of Highway 515 in Fannin County, Georgia, from Gilmer County coming north to Union County. And Bluebird Road is exactly 8.5 miles. That means it's right in the center of that line between Gilmer County and Union County. And how Bluebird Road is 11 miles from McKaysville, 10 miles from the Georgia-North Carolina line, 12.7 miles from Cherry Log, and 13.6 miles down Highway 60, at least as far as Newport Road. Now, I know that we have such as people that are beyond that, right? But my point was then that Faith's new building on Bluebird Road is at the very heart, the very center of our county and our area. Now, in our human body, our blood travels to and from our hearts. Agreed? Right? This is not news to anyone. Okay, good. All right. So our blood goes to the heart to be oxygenated, to be nourished, refreshed, and then our blood goes to all parts of the body to carry that oxygen, and that gives us energy, and to do all kinds of other things. The heart, therefore, is very important. And when you think about Faith, our new building being at the very heart of the community, that's a picture that you can have in your mind, that people will come to that place and that experience, because it's not really the building that's the important thing. It's the experience and the opportunities for faith and growth and learning and fellowship and serving together. People will come there to be oxygenated, if you like, to receive God's grace, God's love, God's goodness, to experience that. And then they will go out and about and around to carry and to share that love. So it's because of all of this and of the crucial importance that today we have come together as a community to hear, to reflect, to learn, and to continue to commit to all that the building project means in the living of our faith and all that it takes from us in our service to others. So welcome each one and all. We're going to hear from various folks. One thing I forgot to say in the announcements at church is after the event today, there is an opportunity for each and all who want to go onto the site at Bluebird Road. We're glad that Adam Teague, our building supervisor, and his girlfriend Karen are with us today. And so Adam will be there along with various members of our new building committee. So you are certainly invited to do that. I'm next going to call on another Jim. It feels like I'm back in Scotland because everybody's Jim over there. So Jim Simpson says, Jim Rich, you're on.
Thank you, Jim.
Give it up for Jim.
All right, thank you. Yeah. Janice, we got them all in here. All right, so you may have noticed some new banners around, like the Halfway Home banner over here, There's also one behind me that talks about the different phases, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So my job today is to kick off this discussion about the phases. My phase is called Phase 1, No House. This is no house. At the time, even before this picture, we didn't have a design, we didn't have property, we didn't have a contractor. We had a plan, but we didn't have any of those things. We were no house. And then you might say a kind of a God thing happened. Jim, the other Jim, with hair. Thank you, I need this light. Jim was, working at church as usual, and he went up the street to have a bagel. Remember the bagel shop that became the Polish sausage shop that now, I'm not sure, is it trout fly shop? Well, I don't know what it is now, but anyway, Jim went up and was getting a bagel and was talking to the bagel lady, as we called her, who, of course, had 3 other jobs. I think she's a trout guide, a real estate agent, and fixes computers. But anyway, she happened to be a real estate agent, and she told Jim about a new property that was being listed on Bluebird Road. Now, we'd been looking for property for over 2 years, and we came real close a couple of times, and another God thing, we didn't close on a couple of other opportunities because this one was much better. So we got property, we bought property. The next thing that happened is, okay, what do? Well, let's see, we're going to design the church, right? So who does the design? Well, some of us are pretty good with our hands, but we probably need an architect. So we went out and we interviewed 7 architects who did work in 3 different states. I mean, these were all competent folks. We didn't hire any of them. We met a design-build contractor, and this design-build contractor, we thought, well, this is a great way to go because a design-build contractor, he knows what things cost. Because, architects, they design well, but they don't always buy anything. They don't hire labor, they design. So we thought a general contractor could keep us under budget, all right? So we were, and the good thing is he had an architect on staff. So that was great. So we hired our design-build contractor with architect on staff. Then after several months of lengthy design meetings, we settled on our original design. And our original design is not what we're building today. This is what we're building today. And the reason it looks different is because we had a really successful capital campaign. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. We got way more than we thought we were going to get. And yeah, great job. Great job. So what to do with the extra money? We could pay the mortgage down. We could, we thought, well, God, our original design was kind of kludgy a little bit because part of the sanctuary was the classroom, and we didn't really have the storage we wanted, and the kitchen was about the same size it is now. And so he's like, let's get what we want. Let's get classrooms. Let's get all the bathrooms that we want, right? So we added more bathroom stalls. We got a bigger kitchen. We got more storage, and we added classrooms and a conference room. So now we have lots of space to do things and meet in small groups where today you walk into the narthex and you're part of the meeting, whether you want to be or not, right? Not in the new church, not in the new church. So after our successful campaign, we changed the design and expanded it, and we went out for bids. And here's where we thought, this is where our building contractor is really going to pull us through. He's going to keep us under budget. Everything's going to be great. Finally, the quotes came in. We were $1 million over budget. Thank you, Peggy, for staying married to me through that time. I have to gather myself because I'm going back to that time when we were $1 million over budget thinking, now what? Well, you could say that another God thing happened. I'd like to introduce Catherine Branch now, who's going to tell you about phase 2 and the second God thing that happened. Here's Catherine.
With God's guidance and continued blessings, the church began the search for a new contractor. Jim Rich happened to bump into Kevin Painter at a local thrift store and mentioned our needs. Kevin recommended Nathan Anderson, the contractor building the local Methodist church. We began discussions with Nathan of Nathan's Construction Company and were immediately impressed with his breadth of knowledge and willingness to not only work with us, but be a full-fledged partner. Nathan and his team performed analysis. The original builder planned to charge an exorbitant fee to complete. NCC performed the analysis without a contract or promise of work and charged the church not a single penny. Wow. Needless to say, we were impressed and thrilled when Nathan was able to make the changes we needed and contract to build our new church home within budget. We worked to create a mutually beneficial contract and were excited to sign, officially bringing NCC on board. So with the signed contract, grading began, and thus came our next hurdle: rain. Rain, and a bit more rain. But the sun came out and grading began in earnest. Once grading was complete, the building was staked out and electrical and plumbing stub-ins were completed. The slab was poured, steel was ordered and erected. Our steel superstructure is now in place and framing will begin this next week. We joyfully anticipate a Christmas completion. We ask that each of you thank God who has blessed us with the vitality and means to grow and serve. Request his continued guidance and pray for our new home and those working on it daily. Truly the glory is God's. Now I'd like to introduce Rick from our Capital Campaign Committee.
Good afternoon. The Phase 3, shared house with the Presbyterian Investment and Loan Program, smaller loans, shorter length of loan pay down, or smaller mortgage payments. This has been a 5-6 year journey, and it's taken many faith members and friends to reach this point. Many hours spent, multiple challenges faced, and here we are celebrating halfway home with the new building under construction. All our efforts have paid off. Let's fast forward. This is the time we've all been waiting for. Our church is completed and we've moved in. The contractor's been paid. We have transitioned from a construction loan to a 20-year mortgage. We are in the final year of our 2018-2020 pledge campaign. As 2020 draws to a close and we receive the final payments of the capital campaign pledge, those funds and any other donations received during that period will be used to make a principal reduction payment on the mortgage. If we're able to do this, we have the option to either reduce our monthly payments or keep our payments the same and reduce the 20-year term of the loan. Let's look at the chart on the banner behind us. It is a visual representation of the funds available to us to pay for the construction of our new building. You'll see at the top, $1,900,000. That's the cost, the contractor's cost, plus a reserve for unexpected costs and or improvements. How are we paying for it? Well, down here we have the PILP loan. We have a loan commitment from PILP for $1.2 million. It is, and then next to that we've got, this is the pledge campaign, the money's already received. And here we have commitments outstanding. That's the monies for 2020 that will be paid on the pledge. And as you can see over here, the loan goes on down. The $1.2 million pledge that we have, or commitment from PILP, this is a maximum amount available to us, and we will only use what we need. We're using the money we have in the building fund first before drawing on the loan. Next, we have the 2018-2020 capital campaign pledge was $937,000. And unpledged donations of $83,000. Since the pledge period runs approximately one more year beyond the construction period, we have the next level, which is here representing those monies that we have not received yet. Prepayment. To the right of the chart, we'll see how the PILP loan runs all out for 20 years for repayment of the mortgage. Below that is shown the accelerated loan pay down, which is here. In addition to the principal payments mentioned above at the end of 2020, we will consider any opportunities we have in the future to prepay principal amounts of the loan. You can see the impact on the timeline. As an example, just an example, a $200,000 principal payment in the first year of our 20-year mortgage on a $1.2 million mortgage would reduce the 20-year payment period to approximately 15. So you can see that any prepayments we do will shorten the life of that loan. You know, welcome to our new home and all the new opportunities it affords. We are committed to follow Jesus' example. We joyfully share God's love, grace, and gift with all in our church family and community. Thank you. And Doug Coe.
Hi there, I'm Doug Coe, and I'm supposed to talk about maybe some about the future. And my wife Jackie and I may represent some of the people that will come to you in the future. We have a vacation home in Morganton on the lake, and when we first started, we're members at Roswell Presbyterian Church. Jackie and I both served as elders for numerous years. When we first came up here in 2002, we said, if we're going to spend weekends up here, we need to find a place to worship. And we heard a little bit about this small group of Presbyterians that were beginning a congregation, and they were meeting right up the road here in the Seventh-day Adventist church. And on Sunday morning, they would cover the Seventh-day Adventist sign with a Faith Presbyterian Church sign. And so we came in that first Sunday, and I think there might have been 12 or 15 people in that were there. And we came in, and there was just this incredible preaching. I went back home to our church in Roswell and said to our senior pastor, I said, Lane, we went to this little church in Blue Ridge, and there was this incredible preaching. It was Dr. Nichols from Columbia Theological Seminary. And Lane says, well, he was my professor of homiletics when I was there. He's a great guy. So we came a couple weeks later when we were up here again, and who was there preaching this just incredible sermon? It was Dr. Fred Craddock from Emory University. And it was like, wow, this is great preaching. We're coming back. So a few weeks later, we were up for the weekend, and we came back, and it was Dr. Jim Speed from First Presbyterian Church in Marietta, who is very close to all of y'all. So that's how we got connected. We, as occasional visitors, we've had a unique perspective to watch you grow. We watched you call Carol Wade. We watched you move downtown to the storefront. We watched you call Jim Simpson. We were excited to see you call Jim because we knew him. We watched you celebrate your 10th anniversary. It was at that time that Jackie and I kind of realized, hey, we've really been blessed to have been welcomed here at Faith, and we need to do something. So we wanted to make a gift for that anniversary, and we decided, you know, one of these days we're probably going to move up here, so we need to make a pledge. And so we did that, and then along came the capital campaign, and Jackie said to me, and I said to Jackie, we need to do something for this capital campaign because one day we may live up here. So we made the decision that we needed to support the capital campaign. Now, some of you may be saying, who is this guy and what is he doing here? And I'm going to answer those questions with three answers. First, Jackie and I do plan to make our vacation home our permanent home one of these days, probably in the next few years. So that's the first reason that we wanted to make a capital commitment. Second is I'm an entrepreneur. I love to see things grow. Jim Rich, Carl Riggs, Jim Simpson know a little about that. A number of years ago, I figured out that a lot of what I had learned in small businesses and growing businesses had a lot to do, was very applicable in church organizations. And I felt this calling to help pastors learn how to organize and make things grow. And so I've spent time doing that. As a matter of fact, I'll lead a seminar in Atlanta Presbyterian about living and leading strategically for Christ's kingdom here in just about a month. But you guys here at Faith Presbyterian are in a very unique place and time with what you're doing. Blue Ridge is growing. People are going to come, and you have an opportunity to share the good news with them. The third answer I'm going to give you is in the form of a little story. There was a small Presbyterian congregation in a rural town in Georgia. It seemed to most of the members like the church had been there forever and not a whole lot had changed. Small sanctuary had a seating for about 130. There was always plenty of room to sit, and the member's seat was always right there, and the members all sat in the same place every Sunday. At some point, the town about 25 miles away started to grow, and that small congregation gained new members, and they were finally able to get on a solid enough financial footing that they were able, for the first time in 50 years, to call a full-time senior pastor. Soon the sanctuary was full most every Sunday, and some of the members found that their seats were taken. Yeah, that was a problem. So the pastor said to the members, we need to build a larger sanctuary so that we could meet Christ's call in the Great Commandment to share the good news, make disciples for those that are moving to our area and those that will move. Other members said, you know, we like things just the way they are. We know everyone, and everybody knows us, and we kind of like that. Some members even said, let them go to the Baptist church across the street, we're full. Thankfully, the pastor at that time and the members were faithful to Christ's call, and they built. That small Presbyterian congregation was Roswell Presbyterian Church in the 1970s. Today they have 2,600 members. It's the second largest Presbyterian church in the state. It's a very healthy church because of several reasons. One, they're very age diverse. Retirees, empty nesters, families, young families, youth, children, and infants. They remain mission focused, and there's a high level of trust between the members, their session leadership, their staff, and their pastors. To be sure, things changed over the last 50 years at Roswell Presbyterian Church. Not everybody knows everybody anymore, but there are many small groups where within that group, everybody knows everybody. And where a friend notices when you're not there or when something's not quite right, and where friends bring you food and support you in a time of celebration or a time of need. To be sure, things here in Blue Ridge are going to change. Things are going to grow. My prayer for Faith Presbyterian Church is that we will be genuinely welcoming to all who are coming to seek the nurture of Christ's amazing grace. That our unique Presbyterian way will respect one another, will respect those who differ from us or who think differently from us, and that our actions will foster trust within the congregation, with the community. I'm hopeful that we will endeavor to be inclusive for young and old, family and single, working, retired, faith seekers, and those who are mature in their faith. That we will adapt and find ways to maintain close-knit and supportive Christian relationships. So, it's really exciting to see that you're all here and that you're also committed, and it's a very exciting time for Faith Presbyterian Church.
Doug, thank you very much for all those words. Jackie, thank you for being here. We sometimes have a full row of Roswell Pres people at Faith, depending on who's here in town. And your recently retired music director has worshipped with us, I think, twice in the last 3 weeks. So they're in town. We're going to go after them. You've got people in this room who can tell the story of different phases in the life of this congregation. You got Tom and Pat right here. You've got Anne Rand right there that have been part of that story for a long time. I'm hoping I'm not missing somebody that we've just Jim and Elaine as charter members also. We've just bidden farewell to Sonia as she moves to be with family. So you've got people here who can relate those stories of the beginning times, and you also have people in this room that are part of the story. Well, all of us are, but especially people who are not yet officially connected to the church here, but they're on their way to being connected. There's 4 folks came out this morning and said, you've got us down for the class on the 28th of July, because we're coming to the class. Somebody that can't come on the 28th, but they're coming. And someone in tears who it belongs to another denomination currently, but that denomination's decisions have meant that someone very close in their family has no longer a place in that denomination. And they know that they have a welcome in the Presbyterian Church USA. So we have all kinds of folks that are on their way to Faith Presbyterian Church. You may have heard the phrase, the medium is the message. You'll remember, if you have heard it, it was a guy called Marshall McLuhan, and he was a person that reflected on the media and how it is we receive information and how it is we receive the message. The medium is the message. And while we've heard lots of great things from our presenters here, this here is the message. Look around you and look at the other folks that weren't able to be here today. This is the message when we get ourselves focused on working together and see that we can move from blueprints to a footprint on Bluebird Road. And now all of us, in September of 2017, the church of that time came together to hear about all these plans and ideas and to receive the request, the invitation to contribute, to turn that into a reality. That the church of that time in September 2017, and their response was what enabled us to get all of this underway. And so it is that today, the church of July 2019, halfway through the 3-year period of our current campaign, gathers together to reflect in this way, and for all of us to be able to accept the invitation to participate, because each and every contribution and commitment goes a long way to what goes on. I was reminded of some of this the Sunday after the faith group left from Scotland to come back home. I was preaching at one of the churches to which I was originally called. We had worshipped with the folks at Portlethen, but the other half of the linkage, as it was originally, was Newton Hill Parish Church. And so I was invited to preach there. And a gentleman showed up there who had trained to be what we call in Scotland a reader. It's the equivalent of a commissioned lay pastor, or now a commissioned ruling elder. Someone who could preach when a congregation's pastor was on vacation or sick or otherwise. And so I was 2 years ordained, and the presbytery called me and said, we've got a reader in training, and we'd like him to come and work with you and learn from you about preaching. And of course, I was a bit like, oh boy, and pretty new. And so I met John McCafferty is his name. He was, I think, 15, 18 years older than me. He was a very accomplished business person, a big personality. And I thought, oh my, me as the new minister, how can I train him? But he fulfilled that training, and he went on to become a reader and a preacher. And he's preached all over that presbytery in the last 30 years. So he had heard I was going to be the preacher at Newton Hill, and so he came and thanked me for all that I had done for him. And then in the afternoon that day, I received an email from him because he asked for my email address. And he said, I've been fortunate in life, to be blessed. And you talked a little bit about your church in Blue Ridge, Georgia, and I'm going to send $2,000 to your building campaign as a thank you for that. And he's already paid the first $1,000, by the way, via Facebook, and he's waiting for Facebook to say he can send the other $1,000. So one thing to think about there, we know all the immediate hopes we have for the things we're going to be able to do more and better at the new building. But you know what? We are also building and planning for seeds that will mature and grow for years and years and years to come. And so think about John McCafferty and his thing. And I'm going to finish with this. Janice and I, on our follow-on trip around Shetland and Orkney, we went to the Ring of Brodgar in the Orkney Islands. It's Neolithic, that means Stone Age. This ring of standing stones has been there since 2500 before Christ. It's a huge area here in the Orkney Islands. There were originally 60 standing stones. There's only 27 still standing. And these places are always amazing to me. But I learned something that day from the ranger on duty that I didn't know. He told me that they've now been able geologically to show that the stones were brought to this central part from different parts of the island. And the stones that came from the southeast, they stand in the southeast corner on this huge ring of standing stones. And the stones that come from the north, they stand on the north. Almost, if you like, a representation of the people from that part of the island, their contribution in building this amazing thing that has stood the test of time right there. And I think that's our calling today, each and all of us. New people, continuing people who've been here a long time, people that are new, people that will be here next week and next month. It's our calling as Christian people to bring and share the gifts that reflect our lives so that we can create a place and a community that will represent God and nurture faith together. So think on that. Catherine Branch is going to give us a little update. No, Carol's going to go first. All right. Okay, I got it the other way around, but that's all right. Carl Riggs, give us some perspiration.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you very much. My notes. When Janice asked me to do an inspirational, it was like, what can I say? And I think about where we've been and where we're going as far as a community and a church. And I look in this room and they said, oh, it'll fit 100 very easily. Well, there's 103 people in here today. So we get a new plaque up behind the bar next week. We have now have the record for the veranda. Thank you for coming. I do want to thank a few groups that have helped us make this possible. And I couldn't start off without Danny Davenport of Davenport Lumberyard. That 9 acres, if you didn't see it when we bought it, was thick as trees you've ever seen, and poison ivy everywhere. We looked at some prices to get it cleaned out. Danny says, I'll do it for you, just for the wood. So he came in. 3 months later, we had no pine trees standing on the property. All the brush was burnt, and we could actually see where our church future was going to be. $20,000, $5,000, zero. That was a God gift. Can't go any further without thanking Ron Cantrell and his group and George, our designer, because without them, we wouldn't be at this point. Our CCC committee and our new building committee have worked tirelessly to get to this point. It's not been easy. There's been some hair pulling. Look at Jim. We've added members along the way. We've added talent that we didn't know we had as people came upon the church. But these groups have done yeoman's work to get us to this point. You know, we found Nathan's Construction. We have Nathan and Matt and Adam. They're running the show now. And without them, we wouldn't see what we see today, because we were at a standstill, and we were at a point where we can't be $1 million over because we can't raise that kind of money. But without them coming in and saying, we can build that for you, let's do this, we're going to have just about what our original design was and even better. So thank you, Adam and Nathan's Construction. We were trying to figure out how everybody could hear us in here. So we were up here one night eating pizza, and they were doing karaoke. No, what were they doing? Trivia. Little lady had this microphone and this amplifier up here. Her name is Lauren Gardner, and she says, yeah, you can use it. So that's why we have sound here. You know, my wife and Michelle had conversations for months over this, and that's why they shared it. Danny and Michelle offered for us to use their restaurant to cook the food and give us the veranda. So their staff did a great job, and the food was really good, don't you think? Yeah, cool. And of course, all the volunteers that came today to help. That's all the parking attendants, that's all the cleanup attendants, that's all the servers, and for everyone that helped get this plan. So without a huge group of people, we would not be here where we're at today. Okay, so Janice said I had 50 minutes. It must have been an error on your computer. I won't take 50 minutes. I'll take 5. First off, who in here was raised in Fannin County? Raise your hand. What does that tell you? We have come from everywhere. When Doris and I retired in 2008, our first goal was to find a church. And we thought we'd be Methodist because there didn't seem to be a Presbyterian church here. And somehow on the internet, I found a little Faith Presbyterian Church of the North Georgia Mountains, right up the street of Seventh-day Adventist Church, as Doug said. So we came one Sunday. Jim Whitley met me at the door. Joe Silva was right behind him. We never looked anywhere else. What'd you guys do? Same thing. You walk in the door, you feel like family. We don't have family here. We have y'all. Y'all have us. And that's what makes this church so special. The new people, we may not know your names yet. We may not know where you live. We may not know what kind of blizzard you like at the Dairy Queen. But we will learn. We will learn, I can guarantee you that. So, you know, as far as the inspirational part of this, we are here because God sent us here to be together. The new Bluebird location is here because God has given us a reason to be here. If you look at the orange shirts around the room, you see them all over town. This is the hardest working bunch of people I've ever worked with. And if you've got your shirt on and you're somewhere, somebody will come up and say at the grocery store, oh, you go to that Presbyterian church. Y'all do so much for the community. And I say, yes, we do, and we're going to do more because we're growing. You know, when we came, there was 30 people at church. Today we had 637 at church. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating. But we had 164 chairs in the sanctuary. That's the most chairs we've ever put in there. And they were pretty much all filled. So you're the people that make a difference in this church. And you're going to make the difference in where we go in our future. Just think about it. Now we're going to have this wonderful, magnificent, big old, right over there, you'll be able to see it. You'll be able to see the copper steeple standing above those trees. Everybody in Fannin and Union and Polk and Cherokee will know about Faith Presbyterian Church. We're not hiding down on the corner street anymore. We are moving on up. Now, I had a couple of videos I wanted to show. Janice, my first one was from Paint Your Wagon, my favorite movie. So when you get a chance, go to YouTube and pull up No Name City. You'll see why that was nixed. Then I went to Beverly Hillbillies. That'd be pretty good. No, that won't play out either. But the theme of both of those is moving on and moving up and making a difference. So if you think about Paint Your Wagon, people were going gold mining, and during the Beverly Hillbillies, they had found that liquid gold, and they were moving on up. So that's where we're going as a church. And without your support, without your help, that's the only reason this makes this possible. So yes, when you looked at this chart, it looks very scary. $1.2 million, that's what we're borrowing. We still have time not to have to borrow $1.2 million. So it's up to y'all as new members and people who've pledged before. Do what you can do. We can make a difference. All the lives we'll meet at the schools and the hospitals and the Feed Fannin and the Family Connection and everywhere in this area, that money is very small compared to the changes we can make in people's lives. So many talented people in here. It's our chance to really change this part of the world. And Patty, we're glad you're here. We needed one local. Well, I'm going to close with this, and I stole this during the service from the call to worship, and I changed a few words. And Tom, by the way, you read this wonderfully. It's the first line from the call to worship. Jesus, by your example, you are with us and challenge us in our journey of discovery. As we leave our familiar and comforting church behind to inhabit and explore new and uncharted places and opportunities, help us to discern who we are and embrace all that we might become. Amen. Catherine.
Before Jim closes, we wanted to orient everyone to the site. Does everyone have a copy of the brochure? Does anybody need one? Raise your hand. Okay. We've also got a copy up here. When you go to the site, if you go to the site, and we hope that you will go to the site. Great. We're paved, and you can actually drive in and drive under the portico and take a look at our steel superstructure. We don't have any framing yet, but we will this coming week. And so our original building, if you look at this, is in red, and the new building, of course, is the larger footprint. That way you can get an idea of how much bigger this building is. And the choir loft is here. We've got our sanctuary here, classrooms and offices on the right, kitchen, pantry, and men's and women's restrooms on the left. Does anybody have any questions about?
Show them what they'll see when they drive up, what we'll be looking at.
Okay. When you drive up, you'll be looking at the right-hand side of the building, and you'll drive under the portico, which is, of course, right in front. And then you can loop around through the parking lot. If you want, you can park and get out. We're not going to have anybody walking on the site because it's not very safe right now, but you can walk up to the building. There'll be plenty of parking, and there'll be people there directing us.
We haven't painted the parking lot.
What? You haven't painted the lines. What are we going to do with you, Adam? Okay, thank you.
All right, Catherine, thank you. And just to be clear, that map or the plan, the red line is the outline of the current space at 56 Mountain Street. So that's the comparison, all right? So the red section is what we currently have gotten used to. So you see how much larger the space is that we have. You know, and there could have been more people at church, Carl Riggs, because at least Randy Borden skipped church this morning, made the mistake of parking right next to me in the parking lot out the back of the pizzeria. So she's over there. So we're glad you could make it. She likes the 12:15 service, you know what I mean? No, we're glad everybody's here. We do have for your use. If you are ready to make a commitment to the building fund and haven't yet been able to do that, we have these. You are invited. We're halfway home, but you're invited to make your contribution, to bring your gifts. So we have these; they'll be available. People will hand them out. You go and ask for one as you leave. You may say, "Well, I've made my contribution. I'm good." You know, you may have a friend or a neighbor or someone that you know appreciates, values the ministry and the impact of Faith Presbyterian Church. Take one and pass it on to them, because as you've heard today, we receive support from a wider network just than our own members and friends. So thanks to everyone who's presented and worked so hard to make the day. Marty and Barbara Pomerantz, we're glad, and Pam from our Jewish community partners, I'm glad that you were able to be here to share with us in the event today. It's been quite a homecoming. I'm ready to go home and put my feet up, as probably all of you are. Our closing prayer is going to be the one that it's the last time I'll ever use it, I think. But I left it on the cross when we left for Scotland. And it's the prayer we used each day as we traveled, but it also seemed appropriate words for the journey that we're on as a congregation. So that's the closing prayer that I'm going to use today. So let us pray. May the ancient stones and soaring mountains point us to the God of all people and every place. May the song of the running streams and the sky above fill us with the music of God's creation. May the faces and lives of the people we meet remind us of our shared humanity. In the beauty of this land, may the face of God bless us each day as we journey. May the gentle breeze of the Holy Spirit strengthen our care for each other and love for all people. May Jesus the Lord touch us and all whom we love with compassion and justice. Amen. So go in peace and enjoy the visit and enjoy the rest of your day.